Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel. In this short video we're going to discuss the most important events that took place during the previous night of the local time. And the most important updates are coming from the southern part of the special military operation. According to information we have from the Russian sources, as a result of friendly fire, the Russians brought down another F-15. This is the scenes, this is the video when the plane crashed down. There was, as you can see, very heavy explosion. And that was very important type of plane, and once again the Russians are saying that the plane was brought down as a result of friendly fire. But when talking about the official position of the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, yet they haven't provided us anything. When talking about the Ukrainians are saying that it was them who brought down the plane as a result of air defense, and the Ukrainians were using S-200 missile. And you know that there are lots of very interesting things, and I have lots of questions. First of all, if that was the case of friendly fire, then could you explain me how the Russians were able to bring down two planes of the same type during the previous 2 months? And the second question I have, if that was the work of friendly fire, work of Russian air defense, then I think that it's very strange and rare that both planes were brought down before the April of 2024, and according to information we have, the first F-16s will arrive to the territory of Ukraine in the April of 2024, and 50 planes that were brought down by the Russians, according to the friendly fire, were able to discover and to see those upcoming F-16s above the territory of Ukraine. So lots of very interesting things. So very likely, according to these updates, the Ukrainians are trying to clear the sky before the arrival of F-16s on the territory of Ukraine. Now we are moving to the situation on the ground, and the most important updates are coming from Avdiivka direction. According to information we have and according to the videos provided by the Minister of Defense, during the previous weeks, two very important persons visited Avdiivka direction. A few days ago, Gerasimov, the head of Russian army, visited Avdiivka. He made an inspection. He was talking with the officers, generals and soldiers on the ground. Later, to be more precise, yesterday, the Minister of Defense of Russian Federation, Sergei Shoigu, also arrived to the territory of the special military operation, this person, and he also talked with the officers and made his own inspection. And the sources are saying that those two visits are about the beginning or before the beginning of the next phase of the special military operation. We are going to talk about activization of Russian offensive operation in the Avdiivka direction. When talking about Avdiivka direction itself, today we got, during the previous nights to be more precise, very interesting updates from the villages by the name of Sieverne and Lastochkyne. For example, on the Lastochkyne war theater, according to information we have, the Russians managed to establish complete control over the village, and this information we received at 9 a.m. of the local time. This information was confirmed by different sources. Another Russian reliable sources confirmed the progress in Lastochkyne at 11 a.m. of the local time, and another report we received also from 9 a.m. So three reliable and three separate pro-Russian resources reported that by 9 a.m. of the local time of 21st of February of 2024, the Russians established complete control over the village by the name of Lastochkyne. So something like this. For now, we're not changing the map because we need more geolocations, more proofs. To be more precise, we need video geolocation, but at least we will color this territory as a gray zone. Furthermore, the same sources reported about complete control over Sieverne. Once again, we're going to keep this territory as a gray zone until we get normal geolocated confirmation about additional Russian progress. So very likely the visit of the Minister of Defense and the visit of the Russian army in this area completely connected with additional progress of the Russian forces in this area, and very likely the next few weeks or days the Russians will intensify their activity and they will continue or will make another attempt to attack further in direction of Pokrovsk. Now we are moving to the south in the area of Krasnogorovka. The third or fourth day in a row we continue receiving updates about further Russian offensive operation in direction of the stronghold. I have adjusted the map. Now we see that the first and the bottom southern 3 streets or 4 streets of the village is in the gray zone, because today the Ukrainian sources, to be more precise, the forces of 42nd Air Assault Brigade. Let's take a look at this brigade. This is brigade, no, it's 95th Brigade, and this is 46. This brigade is responsible for defense on this territory, so they are very long in this area. They were already probably a few months ago. So this post was published from their official Telegram channel, which confirms that this is reliable information. This is not something like a fake from the Russian side or something like this. And according to them, the Russians launched an offensive operation in Krasnogorovka from two directions, from the southern part through Marinka and from the northern part through Nivolskaya. And the Russians launched their offensive operation after a very heavy series of bombardments of the stronghold with the FAP 1500. So if you remember, yesterday we discussed the video. Let's increase the numbers of updates for 2 days. This is the videos. We got first report somewhere at 5 p.m. of the local time that the Russians start bombing Krasnogorovka as they used to bomb Avdiivka during the Avdiivka offensive operation. And also we reported that very likely the Ukrainians under such a heavy pressure would take a decision to fall back. And also we got this video of the use of FAP 1500 in this area. And now we receive once again the confirmation from a 46th Ukrainian brigade that everything that we discussed yesterday was true. So once again, the Russians launched attack, and very likely that as a result of clashes during the previous 4 days, the Russians managed to establish control over something like this. For now, we're not going to change the map because we need more geolocated confirmations, but we are keeping in our mind that this is approximately the progress of the armed forces of Russian Federation. And also the 46th Brigade says that the progress, there is another additional progress from Nivolskaya. So this is the area, this is Nivolskaya, and for now we don't know where exactly the Russians are attacking, but once again, we've been talking for Nivolskaya for the previous months, and there were very heavy clashes in this area during the previous few weeks, and we had during the previous days significant number of geolocated bombings and attacks of the village itself. So very likely that today, or maybe a few days in these days, upcoming days, the Russians will enter the first streets of the village and will establish complete control over this territory, as the Russians establish control over Pobeda. So the situation is getting worse and worse, and if the Ukrainians lose Krasnogorovka and Nivolskaya, this is going to be complete collapse, not just for the entire Ukrainian defense belt in this area, but for the towns like Kurakhova, Selidova, and many other settlements and towns on this direction. When talking about Pobeda Novomikhailivka area, we haven't received anything from Pobeda War Theater, just few geolocations of events that took place a few days ago during the active phase of clashes for the settlement. On this video we can see the Ukrainians tried to evacuate the Leopard tank drivers because it's a very expensive asset from the Ukrainian side, but the Russians are saying that their attempt failed and they destroyed the evacuation group. And the same story about another attempt to counterattack a few days ago. The Ukrainians were trying to counterattack the Russians, but at some point maybe they received some reconnaissance information. They took a decision to turn and to move back, but they got on their own probably mine and was destroyed. When talking about Novomikhailivka, today we got few geolocations. According to information we have from different sources, the Russians managed to establish control over the street by the name of Timiryazeva. And this is Timiryazeva street. This is it. This is one. This street is located to the north of the cemetery and the farms. And furthermore, from the same area, we got the video probably of 2 days long, how the Russians managed to discover another Ukrainian tank. Maybe the tank was abandoned or mined, and as a result of attack, the tank was destroyed. So if we summarize both these updates, the Russians, as a result of offensive operation, currently control something like this. For now, we don't have any proofs, but very likely this is the exact progress in this area. So very interesting details and updates, as you can see. Now we are moving to Ivanovskaya Bakhmut direction. Today we continue receiving updates about the clashes and assault progress in Ivanovskaya itself, as additional mappers like Syria confirmed the Russian progress. If you remember, yesterday we discussed the Russian attack using significant number of armored personnel carriers, and today we got some more details from Rybar, and Rybar says that the Russians attacked the eastern, northeastern and southeastern part of the village, and now, as we discussed, the primary target for the Russians, the main priority is to establish control over this hill, and because if the Russians are able to capture this territory, then this is going to be the end not just for Ivanovskaya, but the end for Kanal and this part of Chasov Yar. On the southern direction, the Russians continue offensive operation in direction of Klishchiivka, and today we got additional video. As you can see, according to my map, this territory is under Russian control. Used to be under Russian control, but today, just today, on the 23rd of February, we got the geolocation telling us that the Russians managed to establish complete control over the tree lines along the railways and to capture not significant 3 or 4 Ukrainian prisoners of war. So just on the 23rd or 24th of February, the Russians managed to establish control over the railways that goes through from Bakhmut to Kurdyumovka. So this video is geolocated, and the map is already adjusted. So you can see, I don't show the correct map as well always. Now we are moving further to Belogorovka direction. After failed attempts to storm Belogorovka probably 3 or 4 times in a row, the Russians fall back to the previous positions and start everything from the beginning. During the previous attacks, they managed to discover additional Ukrainian positions, fire positions, infantry positions, and after that the Russians start bombing the Ukrainians heavily in the village with the purpose to reduce their level of resistance and to make another attempt of storming the village, probably in the very near future. Very interesting details are coming from Sieverne. The video was published yesterday, but I took a decision not to watch. I took a decision to wait for additional information to make any conclusions. And on this video, for example, we can see how the Ukrainians were evacuating their squad, their group, somewhere in the tree lines on this area. Currently, it's unknown what is the date of the video, but according to that video, the Ukrainians were evacuating from these tree lines. So for now, I'm not planning to change the map. We need additional information, but according to this video, it is very likely that the Ukrainians managed to organize counterattack and to return some positions in the tree lines to the south of the Glov's fortification. So there is some chances that the Ukrainians return control over this territory. So let's wait a little bit for more information. And furthermore, this is the first geolocation or more or less interesting information for the previous week. We haven't received anything from Kupinsk direction another day, and now we are moving to Rabotina area, where we also got significant number of very interesting details and updates. And according to information we have, according to pro-Russian mappers and according to pro-Ukrainian mappers, neutral mappers, the Russians, as a result of counter-offensives that took place during the previous few days, managed to establish control over the fields between Rabotina and Verbova, and they managed to force the Ukrainians to fall back. As you can see, significant progress, and basically the Russians lost almost every single stronghold shelter in this area that they lost during the Ukrainian counteroffensive. So approximately this is the progress of the Russian armed forces on Verbova-Rabotina direction, and we see that the Russians are trying to attack Rabotina from the east, and if the closer the Russians are getting to the eastern part of Rabotina, the more chances the Ukrainians will basically withdraw, abandon their positions without any resistance and any fight with the Russians. When talking about Kiev itself, we got also additional updates. Once again, F16s, according to information we have, the Ukrainians will start creating or collecting the parts in the April of 2024, so around in a month. And once again, according to information, the Ukrainians brought down the Russian A-50, but the Russians are saying that that was friendly fire, but not official sources. And probably the most cruel and the most not interesting but cruel, the most cruel and terrible update we receive once again from the Polish-Ukrainian border. I'm not saying that the Russians are good or the Ukrainians are good, but the only thing I know for sure that something wrong is happening on the Polish border. For example, on this video we can see how the Ukrainians try to cross the border, the Ukrainian trucks, buses, and the Polish people try to make the noise of air defense. You know, when Russia attack Ukraine, they launch air defense alarm. So on this video we can see how the Ukrainians try to cross the border with products, with goods, and the Polish people launch this air defense alarm, trying to shock or maybe trying to... So it's not good. Anyway, it's cruel. It's cruel. Regarding the situation with Nazi regime in Ukraine, regarding the situation with the relations between Russia and Ukraine, I don't think that anyone can do like this to create this let's say air defense alarm, because it's not funny. It's not a joke. People are dying regarding the situation between countries. Civilians are dying, and you can't just do like this. So something terrible is happening on the border with Poland, and I don't understand this situation. And that's it for the short video. Military Summary channel reminds to condemn any violence in the world. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, join my Patreon, and have a good day. Bye bye.